Hey, I wanted to do a quick video just to show you kind of what you need to be looking at when you're doing this, when you're looking to move everything. One, these are stock images. This is just, I mean, it's a website just like every other website online. I would be trying to get away from looking like everybody else. For one, you've got the used cars. We've got all inventory here. Used cars sorting column. I mean, I don't know why they're putting all this extra content at the end there. The used cars for sale is good. The website's also set up in Bootstrap. Bootstrap is kind of made for people who don't know how to code. If you're a web developer, then you should not be using Bootstrap, but they're using Bootstrap for the website. If we look at the page speed, let's look at the page speed. One, you've got way too many scripts in here. There's all kinds of junk going on this website. You've got 53 on performance. This first content paint has to be in under a second for Google to be able to spider the pages and find all the pages that are on the website. It needs to be in under 1 second. The largest content paint needs to be under 2.5. There's been all kinds of studies. Google's own studies, they found that if a website takes just 3 seconds to load, it will lose 53% of the traffic. Most searches are happening on mobile, so you got to get this under 2.5. You don't have any of the schema on here, so there's no schema. This wave tool checks to make sure the website's ADA compliant. They've blocked the wave tool as if you won't get sued as long as nobody can check it. I mean, the devices don't work, so you get sued. It's $50,000 for each problem, and it should be illegal for them to even block that. On the SRP page, you've got 3.5. Again, this has to be in under a second, and you've got 9.8. This has to be under 2.5. So already that's killing your ranking. Staying with a company that can't get the basics right is just that's not a good thing to do. Over here on the VDP page, when you go to the VDP page, when I click on this, what should happen is I should see the make and model here. I mean, it should tell me, hey, this is a 2016 Porsche, and it's not telling me anything. It's just got a bunch of text up here, or numbers. So that's not helping with rankings at all. You want that, but and see, here's the problem now. You've been indexed with these pages. So if these pages have gotten indexed, if we come in here and we look, that's the home page. This is the information page. All this stuff needs to stay exactly like it is when you move it, because you've already got a problem. So if you don't keep everything exactly like it is, however, the one thing you've got to do, if you look at these pages right here, that's not even, that's something else. Let's see here. That's value my trade, terms and conditions, GMC for sale. If you look at all these pages, there's no text here. Google sees this as duplicate content because there's nothing here. You need to put all kinds of information about GMC, all kinds of information about Ford. If you're going to put the pages have been created now, so you don't want to remove those pages. But now you need to add content to every one of these pages, because these are your SRP pages, and these are ranking more than anything else. If you look, these are the pages that are coming up right here. The other pages aren't coming up, and all of these have the exact same content. The only thing that changes is the car. Everything else on this page is exactly the same. So Google sees this as duplicate content, and that ain't enough text to do anything. That's a joke of text there. So Google sees all these as duplicate content because basically they're all the same. And there's more content in the menu. You've got more content up here in the menu, and really, people get overwhelmed, and there have been studies that show that people get overwhelmed when you give them more than about 3 choices. You should try and keep these choices up here under 5. You shouldn't have so many choices and everything else for them to decide between, because that's just more problems. But in addition to that, because the content's so thin, now you've got more content in the menu than what you've got on the rest of the page. I apologize for the dogs. But you've got more text in the menu than you've got on the rest of the page. So this is all going to look like duplicate content. Every bit of it is going to look like duplicate. Maybe this one will get okay because you've got enough text here to at least offset the menu. But on most of these pages, it's going to look like duplicate content because this doesn't have enough content. And the content that's on here is very little. Front wheel drive, black, and front wheel drive, front wheel drive, and 4 wheel drive is I mean, there's just not enough content on the page to make it rank. And then they've also blocked. You can't even check. It's got so many server errors that the W3C won't even check the errors. I mean, there's just that many errors in the content, which errors can also prevent it from ranking and doing what you want it to do. So you don't want any errors on the page. So what you want to check, you want to use Wave. Wave checks to make sure it's ADA compliant. You want to use the W3C because W3C they work with the browsers, the search engines. They work with everybody to make sure everybody's text is going to work together to make sure everything works correctly. So if you've got errors, you need to fix those errors, and they've got it set up where you can't even check it. And you need to check this with whoever you're going to go with. And then you've got the Google page speed. And a lot of these developers are going to say, oh, no, nobody uses Google page speed. Well, it's Google's tool, so I promise you Google uses the page speed tools. They use this to check the websites to see what's going on. So when they're checking speed, this is what Google's looking for. Now they use the Chrome browsers to check to see what happens when somebody's on the page. So later, once you start getting, a couple hundred visitors a day, then they're using the other data to see exactly what type of customers are coming and what's happening with those devices and everything. But these Chrome tools right here are what's used to determine what problems you're going to have in the future. So if you don't have the page speed right, if this isn't in under a second and this isn't under 2.5, you don't have a good enough base to even start with. And in addition to that, you got to have way more content on these SRP pages to get them to rank. But if we continue through here, we've got Ford for sale, minivan, Dodge. If we look through here, let's see, Toyota, the coupe, scheduled visit, Nissan, Tesla. I mean, all these are going to be duplicates. Every one of those are going to be duplicates because there's just not enough content on them not to be. So all these are just duplicate pages. So that's not helping you at all. That's hurting you. But also, if we look, I'm trying to find a VDP page in here just to see Mercedes-Benz for sale. I guess that's showing me all the different Mercedes. But anyway, I don't even see any VDP pages in here. But if you look at the VDP pages, this should be the year, make, and model should show up in the URL. I mean, that's just bad there. And like I was going to say before, I remember what I was going to say. You've got to redirect all these crazy links now to prevent losing them. Every time you delete something from this website or move something, it's going to hurt your ranking and it's going to affect how Google spiders the site. So you've got to write redirects from all of these crazy page URLs into a correct URL format in order to fix this problem. You've got some major problems, and if you move the site and it's not, and I would also get rid of, I mean, you once somebody's on the site, the idea is if somebody's on Facebook, and look what happens, user opted out of platform, X doesn't have anything, this doesn't have, I mean, those are just wasted links. That's bleeding link juice to go to a website you've got zero control over. When somebody lands on this website, you want to keep them on the website. You don't want to give them an option to go and look at your competition, and those links are bad anyway. So you want to remove all these social media links. Matter of fact, we got submit testimony, car, find a referral. I mean, there's a lot of things that need to be fixed on here, and before you move this site, you've got to look and make sure that you're redirecting every one of these pages correctly in here. Look, that's just not opening up the email when I clicked on the email thing right there. So the setup is just not, it's a bad setup, and to fix it is going to be difficult because of the crazy URLs that they've got in here. I mean, every one of them has got, let's see, if we come back over here to the, let's go to all inventory. And again, this is another crazy URL here. You're going to have to redirect all these different ones to good URLs. The only URLs that are any good, let's see, when I was clicking on Charger, let's see, Mercedes, These are also crazy URLs, man. So every one of these need to be redirected and set up so that, I mean, you don't need that crazy stuff on the end of every single URL. Sorting direction equals, I mean, why are they doing that? And Google, I mean, is that what Google's, I guess that's what Google's seeing, but wow, that's just a crazy way to set up the URLs. Anyway, you got to redirect every single page on this website to the new website. You need to set it up. I would go with a custom designed website, just because this thing is such a mess. It needs to be straightened out and fixed. And to fix it, you've got to redirect every single page. If you need help setting this thing up, let me know. You've got a lot of work set up for you. And like I said, all these SRP pages. And I wouldn't, if somebody's using WordPress or Bootstrap, you need to set this thing up one time and leave it alone. And you need to fix all these problems that are currently in here when you do it. You're going to have to spend some time on this site to get it fixed. But if you need help, let me know. If you decide to jump in and go with somebody else, I think you're going to end up worse than where you're at now, because they're just going to redirect everything to their platform, and then Google's going to be spotting the old pages, and then you're going to lose all of this bad content that you've already got on here. You need to try and fix the bad content so that you can get it to rank, and then and leave the platform. You're on a terrible platform. The platform's they're blocking the ADA compliancy tools, the W3C validation tools. It takes 11 seconds. Google said you lose 53% of your traffic in 3 seconds. This thing takes 17 seconds. And this page right here takes 9. So you're losing a lot of your traffic. Even if somebody does come to the website and lands, if it does rank for something, you're going to lose all that content just because of these load times or all that traffic. So if you need some help, let me know, and I'll go through the site and see if I can help you get it set up and moved and done correctly. But you kind of got a problem right here because of the terrible setup it is now. If you're not careful, you're going to end up with a setup just as bad as the one you've got. See, this is what the URL should look like. That one is correct. But these other ones they've got, a lot of these companies, they don't want to compete. If they're showing cars, they don't want you to compete with them in the rankings and everything else, so they do crazy stuff to your website, and then on their own websites they set them up correctly. So you really need to be careful what you're doing as you set this thing up and put it together.